Hi everyone. Here we are on the final day of November. Crazy. December 1st is tomorrow. Blowing my mind. Come on in and say hi. Let me know if you're here on replay. Let me know if you got any of that white stuff yet. We had a little bit of a flurry here and there, but nothing crazy. Maybe this week we'll see if it's going to be white or if it's going to be wet. We'll see. But I am seeing some pictures floating around. It's hard to believe. I almost feel like my brain can't compute it. I don't know. This year was just weird. It was just fast. I'm trying to straighten that out. It blows my mind that we're here, that it's winter, we're getting to winter, we're going to have to start dealing with winter things. How is that here? How are we here? I do not know. But anyways, come on in and let me know if you're here. Housekeeping, we have December 4th, Sydney, Nova Scotia. That's this Thursday. I cannot wait to see ya. For a Messages from Spirit event. So excited. Same with December 12th in Windsor. This is my first time coming to Windsor, so I'm really excited to head up that way on December 12th for a Messages from Spirit. And we are just cruising through 2025. December group of the breakdown start tomorrow, so they'll be trickling out throughout the month as well. Keep an eye on your email or your junk folder if you have ordered a December 26th breakdown. Crazy. Nothing yet? No. Happy Sunday. Let's get into these cards. Let's see what is... I feel like they're okay. We're going to do those together. That doesn't usually happen with the weekly guidances, but here we are. I don't fight against the cards. So we do have the, oh, thanks, Leslie. I do have these two cards that came out together. What's interesting is, and this is interesting because it wasn't until I started stepping into spirit and going, okay, what's going on, that I'm really feeling this kind of fighting against yourself type of energy. Okay, so before we even get into the messages, there's almost this level of resistance. And that could be coming up because tomorrow is December 1st, and that can create a little bit of panic in of itself, depending on your situation, your available time, available funds, etc. Decembers are tricky, not only with the holiday season, but with the emotions that come with it, with complicated family stuff, whether they're living or departed. December just is, everything is just wrapped up in December, right? Everything kind of comes to a head. We're kind of dealing with everything in the month of December. Plus, where was November? I don't even think that I can remember November. And so this could be that resistance. What I encourage you to do is to sit with that feeling, right? And ask yourself, where is this coming from? Where's this feeling coming from? What is this feeling telling me? Because we have to remember that our emotions are intelligent. They hold wisdom. They hold answers. They hold guidance. They're kind of oh, we need to kind of clear this out, or, oh, let's address this belief system, right? And I think that that's really important. And so this kind of resistance that I don't usually feel when I go to start to do the cards for a weekly guidance. And so I do really challenge you to get curious with that, right? Where is this coming from? Where is this resistance coming from? There may also be this kind of feeling of no matter what's coming in, because we have shifted. We are in this new energy, right? And so we may still be wanting to borrow trouble, or we still may be wanting to focus on everything that's not working out. And so we may be still having this habit of not looking for our blessings, right? Not looking for things to work out. Mercury just went direct. Saturn went direct. Very emotional time is kind of behind us. So it is really important for you to clear that out. Wonderful time to do do a energy clearing meditation. Wonderful time to clear the energy in your home, in your office, in your car. Wonderful time to reset your intentions, right? Because December, yes, it is wrapping up the 2025 calendar year. It's also setting the tone for 2026. So let's wrap it up, clear it out, refocus as we move through this final month of the year. And I think that's going to be really important. Whenever you're feeling resistance, ask the resistance. Why are you here? Where is this coming from? You will be amazed at what comes to you by just paying attention to how you're feeling, by just paying attention to your body recoiling. Ask of, why am I feeling like that? Where is this coming from? Why am I feeling this? You will be amazed at the information and the wisdom that you receive by just inquiring about it. Okay. And so the Hermit card does come in. This is, again, this time, it says time spent in peaceful meditation and meaningful solitude. Shine your light as an example to others. What's interesting is that there's almost this feeling, and it's almost like it was all about how do I find those words? Hang on. Because when we're in survival mode, it is very self-focused, right? Because we have to do what we need to do to get through this. And so there's very much this habit of being me, and not in a negative way, because you had to survive what you just survived. You had to be hunkered down and be almost hyper focused on self to navigate, to heal, to clear out, to make it through, because we were in danger zone, right? It has been very, very tricky. But now it is safe for you to kind of be open again. Okay. And thinking of others. How can I help? How can I be of service? Let me create the Christmas magic. Let me extend the first invite. Let me reach out first. We didn't even have the capacity to be able to even think about considering doing that in the past months, in a few years, to be honest, right? And so now there is this shift that has happened over the last week that is allowing us to kind of open up again and open our heart chakra up again, right? And so shine your light as an example to others means lead the way, right? Be that first one to say hello, to open the door, to smile, to do a kind gesture. And the warmth is going to return to our lives. It has been very isolated. It has been very cold, right? And so this is really going to allow this kind of love and connection coming in. Are you going to get a few grumbles? Probably, right? Because it's been very prickly for a very long time. But I think that it's time to kind of reopen, and to allow that warmth, but let your light shine, right? Is really the message that's coming in here. Now that's interesting because there is someone, this is coming in as an adult male, that is going to challenge you this week as well. And it's all ego. It seems tricky because the way that this man or this masculine energy communicates is by default, I think it's just ingrained in him, is to belittle and to make him seem bigger, right? He's always right. You silly little thing, right? And it's just so disrespectful. But there's almost this sense of because you know what? Okay, let me finish my sentence first. Spirit loves to do that. Move on before I even finish the sentence. Okay. There is no persuading him, right? There is no winning against him because he will just spin it and spin it and spin it. So use it as practice to assert your boundaries, to speak up, to double down, right? Because I feel like with this person, we just push off. And I don't even think that it upsets you anymore, to be honest, because it's just whatever, let's make it through this interaction. But I think it'd be a really wonderful time to practice what you have been learning, which is, you know, communicate clearly, standing in your power, asserting your boundaries, because there's no, you know what I mean? It's like the outcome doesn't matter. He's going to spin it the way he's going to spin it. So use this as an opportunity to kind of like get your nervous system used to asserting yourself in those ways. And so I think that's really interesting. That is coming out in the beginning of the week as well. The Empress card comes in, and I love this. This is the Empress card is very powerful. It's self-power. It's intuitive. It's creative. There's very much this reconnection with yourself. So even with that previous message that we started out with, where it's kind of like, let your light shine, kind of lead the way, start that trickle of warmth, because we know what that's like, right? That's with yourself. And I think that we're able to do that this week because we're falling in love with ourselves again. We're happy to be ourselves, which has been so long because we've been just pulling back the layers and pulling back the layers, pulling back the layers. And now you're in a season where you're like, I like who I am, right? Which is so beautiful and so contagious, so contagious. So again, by simply being yourself, being open, being out, kind of extending that kind compliment, kind gesture is really going to shift the energy, not only for you, but for others. And like I say, energy is contagious in that way. Just like a Debbie Downer can dampen the entire room, a bright light can lift up an entire room. And so it is really important for us to be mindful. Now, we have talked about a lot this calendar year about being intentional, right? And so maybe setting the intention that you want to give out good energy. Because why? Why? Because the universe gives you. You receive what you give, right? And so it's just this really very fun game that you can play with the universe. The more you give, the more you receive, and it's just giving good feelings, receiving good feelings. And how fun does that sound, right? And so I really love this Empress card coming in. I do see you doing something on that creative side, meaning like that you will be creating something, whether you're baking or you're crafting or you're reorganizing or you're remodeling. There's something that we're creating, painting. You may even find yourself a little bit drawn to creatives, right? Maybe you don't normally do, Christmas crafts, but you're really wanting to do something, right? Or really wanting to have a winter hobby. Maybe you're thinking about learning to crochet, or maybe you're thinking about dusting off that sewing machine, right? This is a really wonderful season that we are going in, and this energy is very much staying to, the very later part of February. So it's been a really great time to look into that. There can be difficulties coming in this week with communications, potentially with younger. So children, grandchildren, younger siblings, nieces and nephews, that type of thing. Maybe even the communications on their behalf. Maybe we're having parent-teacher meetings. Maybe we are being pulled into the office, or maybe there's going to be this younger soul confiding in you or sharing something with you. It seems a little bit bumpy to navigate. It doesn't feel horrible. You absolutely could focus on the negative. You absolutely could, really, that ego could be very much triggered. And I'm going to say this with love. It's not about you. It is not about you. And it's important for you to keep you out of it. Because if you truly want to show up for them in a way where you can love them and support them, or you need to kind of go, they're doing this to me, or I raised them better, or, their actions are reflective of me, and go, what's actually happening here? How can I help? How can I support? What am I missing? And I think that it could go either way. It does feel like I said, that ego is triggered in the sense where we're getting a little bit reactive, but reminding yourself that everyone is their own individual souls. Your children, your parents, your lovers, the neighbors, the strangers at the grocery store. They're each their own individual soul who has come here with their own individual life lessons, struggles, triumphs, and experiences that they are meant to have. And I feel like we forget that, right? We can see it in our life. We can see the tapestry where this was a major lesson I had to learn and this was my timeline. Every single other human being is having that experience, different details. And so it's really important to remind yourself that it's not about them, following your rule or your guideline. It is them having their own life experiences and what lessons are being provided here, what lessons are showing themselves, and how can we navigate. Your lesson here is to detach from ego 100%. It may be how to calm your nervous system and move into service. How can I help? Maybe this is an adult child and this has been going on for way too long and there is the need to imply boundaries. Maybe we need to have an additional meeting with the parent-teacher conference, or maybe we need to make a doctor's appointment, or maybe we need to talk to their hockey coach, or whatever it is, right? But being able to take a step back and go, okay, what's happening? It feels like it's threat because all I can feel it is in my chest. Right? And so your nervous system 100% is reacting. What I would like for you to do is just to breathe and go, okay, hang on. Take that step back, right? Take me out of it. What can I do? How can I help? What needs to be done? What can we do moving forward? Is there going to be more conversations needed? And I think that's going to be really important and way more productive. If you truly want things to be different, that's how you do it. Okay, and I think that's so important. All right. Guides. Make a choice. An unwise choice. All right, so we do have the Seven of Cups. It says, make a choice, stop procrastinating and over analyzing, get clarity on what you desire and move forward. Too many options. Okay. Here we have an unwise choice. There's a better way that will make you happier. Avoid people who lack integrity and who have questionable motives. Well, they're giving me more context, so it makes sense. Because I was just like, are you kidding me? And I'll tell you what, there's something that's coming in that you need to make a decision. And when push comes to shove, you're going to make the decision from your ego state. That is why it's an unwise choice. So, what does that mean? Ego is, that who you identify as. Sometimes we make decisions because that's what so-and-so does, or that's what you just do, right? Or what you think is expected of you, or what somebody else is telling you to, right? I think that it is important for you to sit with your soul, right? Just as an example, I have made ego decisions unbeknownst to me, right? Not intentionally realizing that, but like in my business where I go, oh, well, this is what you just do next. And it wasn't until afterwards where I'm like, I don't even like this. This isn't even aligned with what I want. This isn't giving me that feeling of fulfillment, right? And so when I look back, I go, oh, that's because I was making decisions from somebody else's checklist. Right? This is what you do next. You're doing this. This is what is to be expected next. Instead of going to my soul and going, what should I do? How should I move forward? What do I feel is right for me? Okay. And so when you're kind of in this outer version of yourself, outer identity of yourself, whether this is a financial decision, holidays are coming. Nothing like a little commercialism to keep you spending and going in debt for the holidays, right? Because that's what you do. Well, we can change that, right? And I think that it is important for you to go, okay, hang on. What's important? What's my intention here, right? How do I want to move forward? What feels right for me? Not what I should do or what other people do, or it's been X amount of times. How many people got engaged or married to someone because we were together for 7 years. That's just what you do next. And then next thing you know, the relationship falls apart, right? And so there's very much this feeling of like, when making a decision, sit with your soul. If you don't know what to do, then don't make the decision. Because almost always, if you decide out of ego, then you're going to not be happy with the choices that you've made. And here it says there's a better way. There's a better way. Maybe somebody's feeding your ego. Oh, I got a deal for you, right? And it sounds a little bit too good to be true. What do we know about those deals? They are too good to be true, right? And so we do want to kind of just, again, make sure that we're taking time when making decisions to go with yourself, to sit with intention, to ask yourself. And I think that it's really important when making these decisions. Even with your Christmas shopping, instead of buying to buy, ask yourself, is this really going to be something that is going to be useful, valued, necessary, right? And it's just a different way of seeing things, right? Instead of just automatically going because this is what media has fed you, culture has fed you, past experiences. Being more intentional is going to go a long way, especially when making decisions. And I think that it's important for you to ask yourself and to check in and go, how do I feel about this? How do I really feel about this before you make any of those decisions? Okay. So I do see you looking ahead. I do see you, which is normal this time of year. We're really, moving ahead, planning. Lots of things happen in December, getting ready for 2026. We're all very, very, very excited to get to 2026, right? So it says planning for the long term, abundance from past choices, pride and success of your labors. Be patient as you decide what's next. What's interesting is this little sneaky little new beginning just pops in unexpectedly. This feels like it comes out of nowhere. We're kind of like, oh, you know what? The next, 4 or 5 weeks are going to be very predictable, right? We're kind of thinking anything that's new is going to come in is not coming in until, January or February. I don't know. There's a transformation that says significant life experience that requires changes to be made. And there's the new beginning card. So there may be something that's popping up that you did not foresee, which is really feels significant to why we're kind of dragging our heels here a bit, okay? So don't make that decision if the decision doesn't feel right, because it could be divine timing lining you up with this new beginning, okay? Which I think is really important. Or when you get out of ego and you sit with your soul, all of a sudden there's a new option that presents. How many times have we been a little bit ungrounded and a little bit, kind of frantic or overthinking this and overthinking that and oh my God and and weeks could go by, and then when you actually sit with it, it's like there's a solution that just comes out of nowheres that didn't cross your mind not once when you were doing your little squirrely spiral, right? And then all of a sudden when you sit with intention, when you slow down and check in, your guides are like, this is what we were trying to tell you. Because I know it has happened to me, right? And I'm just like, that's wild. It also lines up with divine timing. How many times have an idea, a solution, direction present itself that never crossed my mind previously and then comes in the perfect divine timing? Because that's how it works, right? And so always getting that habit of checking in. So we're starting the week with checking in on our emotions. You know what? It still feels like the next 3 days can be a little heightened emotionally. You may be a little easily hurt. You may be a little more anxious than your normal. And so when these emotions arise, why am I feeling this? Where's this coming from? What is this telling me, right? Especially where in the beginning of this card reading, we talked about there is like a default level of like resistance as soon as I stepped into the energy of this week, which is slightly concerning, right? So we do want to be mindful, where's this resistance coming from? Resistance is often, almost always fear, right? Where is this coming from? Sit with that. Clear out the chatter. And then once you go, oh, this is where it's coming from, it can then spark direction, solutions, or it may be something that you're like, I don't even believe this. But yet, because we don't have the attention to it, we're feeling it, we're kind of busying our mind, reacting to this feeling, right? Because it's uncomfortable, we don't like it. And instead of going, where's this coming from? We're just running from it. It's still there, and it's creating a reaction of our decisions, how we feel about ourselves, how we move about the day. Almost always when we get to that core of what's going on, it releases it. And a lot of this kind of ingrained belief patterns that we have aren't even ours, or so outdated that we don't believe it anymore. But if it's still within us, it's dictating how we move through our days and how we feel, and then the decisions that we make. And it's wild. Every time I do my deep dive, every time I recognize this within myself, it's wild how something that is so unaligned with who I am is making me feel a certain way. And so bringing that attention to it's kind of shining that light on it, right? Shining that flashlight on it, takes it away, disperses that energy. And it's very easy to go, oh, I can release that. I'm going to go here. This is what I'm going to do. And this is how I feel about it. And it brings such clarity. I think that it's so important. I think that it's really important this month because it is a quick paced month, because there's a lot going on. It's a wonderful time to use these exercises. It's a wonderful time to sit with it. Because there is this fatigue, right? There is this fatigue where you're just tired. You're tired of feeling like shit. You're tired of feeling anxious. You're tired of feeling less than. You're tired of not having enough, right? That's how you move out of that. By being intentional and being present. When we talk about being present, be aware of what your body's doing. Be aware of what you're feeling. Be aware of the dialogues that you're speaking, right? It's crazy how humans have been conditioned to be 5 places at once in our minds, missing the present, missing it, right? And I think that's really, really important. And I think that December would be a wonderful opportunity to practice all that you have learned, to really navigate this. This month has such potential to be different for you, to be your tone, for you to set the tone for yourself. I think that it's going to be it has the potential of being a wonderful month. If you are true to yourself and honor yourself as you go through it. Yes, there's some things that we have to do. Yes, we want to honor traditions, but maybe it's time to shift it so that it's more comfortable or more realistic, more obtainable, right? And I think that starting the month, right, and being intentional of, this is how I want this month to feel. This is how I want this to go. How do I get that? Right? If we want a stress-free Christmas, how do we get that? Plan ahead, right? Plan ahead, communicate clearly and efficiently, have boundaries with yourself. Don't let that guilt get you, right? I'm not going to do it. Well, then it's tomorrow, and next thing you know, oh, I better do it, right? No, if you're setting a tone, if you're setting a boundary with yourself, stick to it, right? And I think that it's really something that this month has potential to remind you that you are in control, that you have the power here, right? That you get to create your experience for yourself. And so this week does feel a little push and pull because we are moving out of that resistance. We are clearing out any of that negative mindset. There is the need to release how things have always been, because that is now no longer. Have the creative freedom to create what is next, what is new. And I think that is going to be really good for your heart as well. All right. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next weekend for your weekly guidance.